Excellent to have you here.
Thank
Is Patrick here or not available this month? No Patrick? All right. Well, we look forward to seeing him or they or whomever when they arrive to our board next time around. So I'm going to go around so you can, Andrea, get to meet everyone else who's part of our board. My first person, Pat, if you want to give it a start, and then we can kind of go around and say hi for people who have not met Andrea yet.
Sure. Hi, Andrea. Welcome. Being an avid recreator, it was a draw for me to be a part of this advisory board. I've just found that recreation that is offered in this community is so unique. I'm from the East Coast, and we had to pay for every bit of any kind of recreation. So the service that is provided, I certainly appreciate, and so that was a calling for me. I'm retired for working at the VA for 30 years, but right now I'm working part-time as a therapist at DECA.
Next board member, anyone?
I'll go ahead. Hi, Andrea. Welcome. I'm Val Renault. I'm doing my second term on the board, and it's been really interesting. Especially looking back at some of the notes of the amazing variety of things that we cover, from the Oak Park Cemetery to the things we all know and see. And kudos on the loop, by the way, Mark. We are seeing much more of that lately. So, yeah, welcome to the board, and I think you'll enjoy it.
John, would you like to jump on next? You're on mute, John.
Can you hear me now, Andrea? I'm John Blazik on my second term. I'm a retired high school principal and educator. Welcome.
I think that's Amber. All right.
Hi, Andrea and I got to go on the bus tour, so we're old buddies now, and we ran into each other at kickball. So, but my name is Amber Nickel, and I have Posh Wash, and I also work at the Lead Center. And I got involved with Parks and Rec because my kiddo plays basketball all the time, and so we spend a lot of time in the facilities. And I am excited about our trails and aquatics, so all kinds of things. Glad to be here and glad you're here.
Thank you. It's very nice to meet y'all.
Excellent. And again, I'm Jackie Becker, the chair. And as you know, Andrea, we know each other from kickball, and I'm an active swimmer and bicyclist, and anything else I can get involved in that's outdoors or indoors, that's probably sports related, or at this point, cemetery related, because that's something you learn with Parks and Rec, is that we handle that too. And we have some pretty cool cemeteries in town also. So welcome. So we can now, I think you know everybody else, unless we need to go through everyone else that you've met. Okay. So moving on, then we can talk about the bee boxes that we have around town and get a little update on that from Mark.
Am I unmuted? Yep. Derek Rogers, Director of Parks and Recreation. Mark's having some troubles with his voice, and so to help him out a little bit, I'm going to give the bee report. While I read through this report, Peyton's going to show you some pictures of a couple of the beehives and swarms that are pretty interesting. Okay, so what you're seeing, maybe.
Well, now, here, 1 second. There we go.
Okay. So the city, I think it was early in the spring, around March, we entered into an agreement with Robert Brooks, a doctor that studies bees. And so here's some of the information we gathered from him on June 8th. He put bee boxes up around our parks. He's estimating there's probably at least over 100 beehives swarming in Lawrence during the swarming season each year in Lawrence, Kansas. no one knows how many. And one of the goals is to get some data to make statistical significant guess. He's putting together this program to get an idea of how dense the bees are in the city of Lawrence. These rescue boxes were put out starting March 4th, and they're continuing as swarms are caught and empty boxes were replaced. 16 parks have boxes in them, and 9 parks, or the bold-faced parks, have caught 9 swarms so far. And those parks are John Taylor Park, Burroughs Creek, Oak Hill Cemetery, Dad Perry Park, Water Tower Park, Naismith Valley Park, Victor Park, and Veterans Park. Boxes were weighed before and after the swarms are caught, resulting in year-to-date 60 pounds plus of bees, which is about 210,700 bees, which are now housed in double-walled insulated hives and are thriving. So it's a pretty neat program. I know some folks around Lawrence have seen those bee boxes and had some concerns, and the gentleman that is running the program has done a good job of capturing bees and moving the hives. Thank you.
Any questions for Derek about these bee boxes?
You have a question?
This is John, board member. Hey, Derek, that's a cool idea. How do they get bees? How do bees get in there? They just see the box, or is there something in there that entices them?
I see.
That's a great question. Derek Rogers, Director of Parks and Rec. My understanding was that the KU professor that has been doing this, he goes around and he observes where bees are in parks and locations. So he had a pretty good idea of where he was going to go trapping for bees. So I don't know if he puts any scent or anything in them, but he randomly puts up boxes, and he's been very successful in getting bees to attract.
Wow, that's cool. Huh. I didn't know. That's neat.
This is Val Renault. I think when he presented to us, he said they know where the swarms are, or they discover the swarms, and then the bees that are separating from their queen bee, and they put the box up near there. That's what I remember.
Thanks, Val.
I know you said there'd been some comment about it. Have there been any issues or concerns at all from anyone being nervous about getting stung by bees or anything like that? I know Dr. Brooks said they're super high up, so they shouldn't be affecting humans, but just double checking.
Derek Rogers, Director of Parks and Recreation. There's been a few people, even though you put out the word and you share it and social media, and to include our staff, all of a sudden they see a swarm of bees and they're like, oh my gosh, what is that? So there's been a little bit, but we haven't heard any reports of anybody getting stung or anything like that. And I think it was only, I only heard from about 2 or 3 people having concerns with the bee boxes.
Any additional questions? Mark, did we cover everything A-okay? Perfect. All right, well, let's move on to number 3 then, which is summer aquatics with Lindsay. If you'd like to give us an update. I know it's hot out there, so hopefully the pools are packed today.
It is. Lindsay Hart, Assistant Director. And yeah, it is definitely hot and the pools are packed. It's been great. Just wanted to give a few updates. First, I wanted to go back to our last month's meeting. Some of the board members asked if we had ever worked with the high schools to do any type of lifeguard training classes. And I wasn't aware, but I spoke with our supervisor, and we have tried to work with the high schools, and we have proposed doing some type of a credit for a lifeguard class at both high schools in Lawrence. And unfortunately, we were told it was not allowed for our supervisors to teach. And so far, or at the time that we were having the discussions, the school did not have anyone available or able to teach. And so we also offered to host a training for any of their staff or teachers, but there was no interest. But fairly recently, we've been in touch again with the health and wellness curriculum coordinator, and we have those discussions going again. And so we're keeping the conversation alive, and we're actively trying to get something in place so we can try to offer that through the schools. Sure.
Hey, Lindsay, this is John Blazic, committee member. Just going back to my school days, they may not have somebody that can be WSI'd. We didn't, but we brought in a recreation person that was WSI'd as long as we had a certified teacher in there with them, but the WSI person did the teaching. Mm-hmm. If you meet with the school, and they may not have enough, as many teachers have left the Lawrence district, but if you meet again, I'd be happy to if I'm in town, because there are some options. As long as we have a certified teacher in there, you can use a rec WSI person. I don't know. That's where you're going to find your young ones usually, right? Out of your swim teams. They've got 2 incredible swim teams in the city. So if I'm around, I'd be happy to if there's ever any more interest.
Okay.
Thank you for looking into that avenue.
Sure, absolutely. No, it's important, and I think it's a great avenue. So, like I said, we're keeping the conversation going, and hopefully we can get something established. So I appreciate your thoughts on that. But as far as a kind of a summer update, we opened the wading pool on June 1st at South Park, and we opened the outdoor pool on June 6th. And obviously it's been hot, and like I said, the pools are packed, and we're getting a lot of use already. I think they said Saturday was a huge day. It was our biggest day so far. I've been out there almost every day just to kind of scope it out and get a feel, and it's been packed. But it's exciting to see. I'm glad we're up and running. We are continuing to analyze our staffing and schedules, and we're doing what we can to open up more hours. We have made an adjustment for the leisure pool. We will be opening the indoor leisure pool on Tuesdays from 1 to 5 p.m. starting next week on June 21st. And we're hoping we can do more, but as of now, we can at least confirm we're gonna get Tuesday afternoons, and this will include the slide, the lap pool, and the diving boards. And again, as we continue to kind of see how our staffing and schedules shake out, we'll continue to look at more leisure pool hours, as well as increasing swim lesson offerings and availability. So, and just to give you a quick update, the current lifeguard count is 52, and that's enough to safely and successfully operate with our currently posted schedule, including the leisure pool on Tuesdays. If we wanted to open full capacity, get the leisure pool open full time, we would need about 40 more lifeguards. So again, that's just kind of gives you an idea of where the struggle is. But again, we're doing everything we can. We talk about it every day. We're adjusting, squeezing in everything we can do. The staff is working really hard, but we're excited and we're happy that we're up and running. And again, we're just kind of continuing to analyze it as we go through the summer, and we'll make adjustments to the schedules if we can.
Jackie Becker, Chair. Happy to see the Tuesdays happening. And there was a huge NPR story last week that this is definitely nationwide, small cities, big cities, and it's just a struggle. So thanks for being able to at least find one extra day for kids on the west side of town. Curious when and I don't know if this is more you or this is Mark, when the splash pad will be open then on the east side. Is that getting close?
It's close, Mark. I don't know if you want to give it a shot.
Yeah, I'm hoping we're up and rolling by the 1st of July. We have most of the concrete poured now, and we've run the tests and it works. We just got to get it spruced up and ready to go. So that's our goal, is around the 1st of July.
Any additional questions regarding summer aquatics? Okay. We can move on to number 4 with Derek Rogers, the update on the naming policy.
Okay, thanks. Derek Rogers, Director of Parks Recreation. Our legal department, it's up there at the legal department, but they have had, they're short staffed for a while till this fall. So they asked every city department to prioritize their immediate needs. So we've prioritized ours. They expect to be back up at full staff around this fall. So, unless something happens before then where we need that policy, I don't foresee it coming to the top of the list before then. That's about the best I can give you right now. It's still illegal.
Any questions or comments on that? Andrea, just to give you sort of a little update as you kind of get used to how this works, there's definitely a difference with a naming policy versus sponsorship. And to sort of help you with that, to kind of know that there's two different branches. And the naming policy really kind of focuses on the parks and what the names are and things like that, where like sponsorship is for, you know, putting a logo somewhere or a big name on something like that. So just know that we Amber Nickel and a few other people, we had a subcommittee for that worked on writing our naming policy to kind of help us with some of the parks that are looking to be newly named or renamed in our community. Hopefully I was close on that. Didn't mess anything up. If there's no other questions or comments on that, we can move on to number 5, which is Lindsay again with baseball and softball updates.
Sure. Lindsay Hart, Assistant Director. As you know, last meeting, we had a gentleman approach us with some concerns about our baseball program. And we had a meeting with him afterwards and met with some of our staff. And he had a PowerPoint presentation that he shared with us. And so I sent all of you the notes and the recording from the Zoom meeting. But I'll just kind of go through it again real briefly and see if anybody has any other questions. And so some of the main topics that Mr. Greason was concerned about, number one was safety, which obviously we all agree with, and we want to make sure we're taking care of any safety issues immediately. So he showed us some photos of some of the conditions of the various fields and different areas. And I know Mark and his staff have been looking into it. And I can give you an update. Again, you know, dealing with weather and time and getting to it as soon as possible. The pitching mound at YSC, they've been fixed, but the home plates, they're still working on. They were able to mow them, but with the wet conditions, they haven't been able to raise them up and install the fences yet. But again, they're working on that. And then all 6 fields at Holcomb have been worked on with ag lime, and they've been sprayed, and they're continuing to work on those as well. And so again, you know, these are things that are going to take a little bit of time, but we are addressing them, and we made sure we had the right staff at the meeting to make sure, you know, we can understand his concerns and address those as soon as possible. Some other safety concerns are regarding AEDs and first aid kits out at the complex. And I was able to speak with our risk management representative for the city, and she actually confirmed with us that we don't have an AED on site, but we don't want to have it on site. So it's by design, mainly because you have to be trained to use it. And really what they instructed us to do was we just need to tell people to call 911. It's just the quickest way. It's the most efficient. And just dealing with the location being outdoor, it just makes more sense to just make sure we're communicating with parents and encourage them to call 911 if there is an emergency. So we communicated that with him and explained and helped, you know, make sure he understood. And that will be communicated with the rest of the parents as well. Also, first aid kits are on site, and we do have a supervisor on site during the programs. And so we made sure that they were aware of that as well. And the supervisor can get first aid kits to anybody who needs it. The next issue was regarding practice schedules and our programming. And we actually already addressed a few of those concerns. So we've adjusted the way we do the scheduling for practice fields. And we made that adjustment. It was actually already in the works before we had the meeting. And so it was good that we were on the same page for that. So we were able to make that adjustment. It's been a few weeks now, and I think it's working really well. He had also requested that we just extend the season, offer more baseball, do everything we can. And so just in the last few weeks, our supervisor was able to get a postseason summer tournament scheduled. And so we have one that will be taking place this summer for the DeKalb League. And then we are going to do a fall baseball league. So he's communicating with parents right now, and we're getting ready to take registrations. So again, we're taking a look and listening and doing what we can to offer more programming. Another issue he brought up was regarding sponsorships, which I know we've been talking about the last few months as a board. And I know we're going to be putting together a subcommittee, and just kind of wanted to clarify that we're also working on it internally. So I'm kind of heading up our internal staff team. I have our recreation operation managers kind of working with me, and we're analyzing our current process. We're looking at old policies and just making sure we're clear on, if anything needs to be updated or addressed. And we actually have already reached out to some partners to try and get some smaller sponsorship started. And again, then we can continue to work up towards some bigger names and bigger companies. And then just lastly, we spoke with Mr. Greason about CIP projects. A lot of the field conditions and issues that he mentioned are things that we have in our CIP, spread out over the next 5 years. And we also have the comprehensive plan coming up, and we encouraged him to, attend any public engagement meetings, be a voice, be a spokesperson. We need to hear it. We want to know, what we need to be looking at. And, I think he can be a good advocate for many of these items. So I think there will be plenty of opportunities with our public engagement, not only for the comprehensive plan, but the YSC fields as well. So again, that's kind of it in a nutshell, but I'm happy to answer questions if anybody has anything further.
Lindsay, John Blazek, committee member. One, thank you for meeting with those people. I've been pulled into this. I've had quite a few calls from the baseball coaches. And I did some homework, and I really appreciate you going to listen to them. I think that's all they're wanting. I made a lot of calls around town, and I'm going to stand up for our taxpayers because I'm one like all of you guys are. And the history and the perception of this is that field's been pushed off for years. And when we talk about safety of kids, that's got to be number one for all of us. But the perception is not good out there on how that field's been kept up and taken care of. So one, thank you for talking to them. I visited the fields. As an ex-principal and athletic director, I wouldn't use them, not until so thank you for trying to get things going because of the injuries and the perception for our kids. I think maybe we put it as a goal to maybe try to improve the fields of our perception in the community because of our taxpayers and our kids. And right now, something really bothers me as a committee member. When our kids are leaving to go to play in other towns, that concerns me. I understand travel teams, but when it's a care and the safety of a field, I can't thank you enough for listening to them. And I just don't want to lose our kids. That's why we pay our taxes. So if I'm in town, I would love to meet. I'm an athletic person, and I'm always looking at the number one thing for our kids is safety and health. But I think we've got some dedicated coaches that are volunteering. We got some kids. We've got 2 high school programs, and I just put it in perception. If it was a bike trail or a walking park, it might not be treated that way. So from my end, thank you for your time. And I'd like to help get involved with you if I'm in town. And I'm sorry I missed that meeting, but thank you for what you're doing.
Sure. Thank you.
Any other questions or comments regarding baseball and softball and the meeting that Lindsay had?
Jackie, I'm sorry, but hey, Linz, for a minute, Lindsay. The supervisors on site, these coaches said they had no clue. Do you think maybe they could introduce themselves to the umpire or a coach? Because if you don't know who they are, you don't know to ask. But if they're on the clock and getting paid, I think maybe from a PR standpoint, it might help.
Yeah, we talked about that actually, and we did clarify that they wear a red staff T-shirt or jacket, and we talked about getting some communication out to the parents from some of the safety items that we talked about that I mentioned earlier. And so I think that's easy to do, that we can let the participants know up front, and then have the staff, like you said, sure, I don't see why they couldn't, introduce themselves. And I don't know if they are or if they aren't, but that's definitely something I can pass on and see if they can do that, and just kind of make sure everybody knows that they're there.
Okay. And in this day and age, it's just not the field. With the way fans are acting, I'm in the officiating world. With the way fans are acting, at least maybe a parent would know who to go contact if they need to call 911 or something. Mm-hmm. I just think it would be a good move. So thank you, Lindsay, for those people.
Not seeing any other questions or comments. Lindsay, thank you. We've gotten through our agenda items, so we're now moving on to the concerns of board member, other items of interest.
This is Val Renault, board member. I just wanted to thank Parks and Rec for I don't even know how long it's gone on, the day camps that they run during the summer. My great niece is going to one, and I don't think when my children were smaller, for some reason, I don't think I knew about those camps, but I think they are an important equity offering too, because, of the price, and there are a lot of summer camps that go on around town, but they're a little pricier and more limited in hours. So I really want to thank the Parks and Rec staff for offering that for all these years to our fair city.
This is Pat Phillips, board member. Val, you helped generate a thing I wanted to bring up tonight regarding the camps. I know in the past, it's also provided opportunities for kids to have lunches through the school program. Is that going on again this year?
I know that it's limited this year, but we are able to provide it for our camp participants. And I'm not sure what the situation is for anyone who's not involved with our programs. I know I think we used to be a site, but we're no longer a site. Again, we are able to provide them for our own camp participants. So I think there are still some other locations around town. And I don't know, Derek, you may know a little bit more than me, but I think that's my understanding.
The Rogers, Parks and Rec Director. I know the library site is going again this year with the pool and everything going. And then we had requests from Just Foods for a site out at Clinton Lake property. So there's a little bit going on, but I really haven't heard that much about it. Just kind of word of mouth, talking to Brad Allen from the library and some other staff people.
Thank you.
Amber Nickel, board member. I'm curious about an update on the 4th of July plans.
All right. Derek Rogers, Director of Parks and Recreation. Glad to do that this year. It will be July 4th on the 3rd. So fireworks will be the 3rd. July 3rd, Sunday night. We are working on notifying all of the residents in the area. So it'll be shot. The display will be like it was last year on KU property down by Shankfield at 23rd and Iowa, down in that area by the parking lots. So KU has given us approval. We're working on the agreements now. JC's will do the firing of the fireworks. Kind of got a late notification, and so that put us behind the power curve. We have got some donors, which is helping dramatically. We have the Dole Institute and Lead Center from KU donating. Explore Lawrence. We have a potential of a title donor. Haven't heard back yet, so it's kind of hit or miss, but we'll figure it out. We got a little bit of time that there's some folks, some businesses down in that area that probably benefit from having fireworks really close. So I think there's some low-hanging fruit where we can go ask them for some money and help defer the costs and have a really good show. Fireworks have gone up 20%. I think the good news is the Jaycees were able to get a commitment before the fireworks price went up. They have heard the feedback about the finale. Where was it? What happened? So that won't happen again. They're actually planning a finale, and they've got a few more fireworks to shoot this year, and then some coordination. But yes, that's in the works, and we need to get a notification out to the public, and we're working on notifying all the residents around the area and just let them know that will be going on.
Thanks, Derek. That's really excellent to hear. Could you also give a little update on, I know that you said there was going to be a lot of parades in June. So what other parades do we have hitting our community in the coming weeks?
Hey, Derek Rogers, Director of Parks Recreation. Tomorrow night, City's Commission's meeting. The mayor will read a proclamation for Juneteenth. The Juneteenth parade and concert will be on the 18th, Saturday. I believe the parade is around 11 a.m. Mm-hmm. And then that will go from the library lawn to 8th Street and then down 8th Street to 11th and Mass, where we'll have the roads blocked off, and they will have concert venue and games, all kinds of fun things going on that Saturday. Really looking forward to a neat event. The Pride event is June 25th. Immediately following their parade, I believe, is going down the sidewalk like it did in last year towards Abe and Jake's. So we got some events going on in South Park. We've had a lot of events last weekend, or the weekend before last, quite a few. We had the Wear Orange for gun violence awareness. That's League of Women Voters.
Yes, yeah.
League of Women Voters, and then there's another one. So South Park has been very busy. It was actually coming through downtown Saturday and Sunday this last weekend. It was like there was just a breather, but we're going to get busy again.
Jackie Becker, Chair, nothing wrong with being a little busy in our parks. I think that's excellent to hear, and a nice, broad, perspective from our community, making sure that every single human in our community can enjoy our parks and be a part of celebrating in June. So cool. Thank you. Any other items of interest or thoughts from the board? Any comments? All right. Not hearing from anyone else. We can move on to F, which is the other, which is our, let's see, we've got attached was the Recreation Division update. And so if ever, I'm not really sure how y'all want to do this. If Lindsay, you go come back and talk, or?
I can. I just had a couple things in addition to the report. I did want to mention, I know it was already brought up, but we did start summer camps as well on June 6th, and it's going great. We have some really great kids. It is a great program, and it's fun to see everybody in the park and walking around and doing all their activities, and they're getting to go to the pool as well. So that's going great. And then I also wanted to announce we were able to fill the programmer position for special populations, and his name is Justin Deaver, and he was one of our camp counselors for I think the last 3 or 4 years, and so he was able to start just last week, I think it was, and so he's luckily he kind of already knows some of the routine, and perfect timing for our camps to start, and so anyway, we're happy to have him on board. That was all I had.
Thanks, Lindsay. That is good to hear. I read that in the report. So it's nice to have some people with some experience that know our area. So moving on, I guess we're getting the park division. I'm not sure how, if Derek's jumping back in and speaking for Mark, or are you going to join us verbally?
Yeah, Mark Hecker, Assistant Director. I'll talk until I start coughing. How's that? That didn't last long. Basically, in the parks, we've been trying to play catch up with the rain. So it's been raining 3 or 4 days a week for the last month and a half. So that's really put us behind on mowing and projects and everything else. So plus we're down 3 full-time staff. So we're in a still rush mode, which usually by now we're kind of calming down and settling into summer mode. But hopefully the next week or two, we'll kind of catch up a little bit.
All right. Thank you, Mark. Derek, we're moving on to your report.
Hey.
Director.
Derek Rogers, Director of Parks Recreation. We're heavy in the budget season and running out of shopping days. And we always say every year's budget is challenging. And this year's no different. And we've faced a lot of challenges. So we're scrambling to get together the city manager's budget for our department in the city and following the guidance from the city commission. So that's the challenge over the next 2 weeks. We still have a lot of work to do. And then I want to bring up an update. Lawrence Skate Association has raised $65,000, so they have the funds available to purchase their asset. We're just finalizing the location. So Mark and the group have been going back and forth. And once we get that done, we'll get it on the agenda and get it permission. So that's really exciting. Just some safety issues with all the rains. Obviously, snakes and some poisonous snakes are indigenous to Kansas. If you're out at the dog park, the low-lying areas, the heavy rains and flooding will bring snakes out. Some of those, unfortunately, are maybe copperheads. So be careful with your pets and your dogs. The other one that is interesting from Corps of Engineers, it's on blue-green algae and harmful algae blooms around the lake. So it's been spotty around the lake. They put out some advisories for people to be cautious, don't swim in areas that are green, whatnot in the lake. But it's also a reminder, if you have your dog at the dog park, it's maybe worth keeping them out of the water. I would have to go by a couple of those ditches and see if there's anything going on. People aren't supposed to go down to the spillway, but if the spillway is turned off, there may be some blue-green algae in the spillway. So just be careful with your dogs and let's be safe. And unless there's questions, I think that pretty well sums up a lot of things we've been busy on. But
I appreciate you bringing up the snakes after finding that gigantic snake at Hobbs Park a few weeks ago. So the rain's been bringing them out, but it was a couple feet long, but not a copperhead. So all good. It was a friendly snake, but still kind of scary for me. I guess any other questions for Derek? No. All right. Well, thank you, everybody. It looks like we're moving on to our next meeting will be Monday, July 11th. So just a heads up there. Hopefully we can get all of our new board members involved and joining us. Again, Andrea, so nice to have you here. And I will now be looking for a motion to adjourn.
Val Renaud, board member, I move we adjourn.
Amber Nickel, board member, second.
All right. I see a first and a second. All those in favor, raise your hand. Excellent. Thanks, everybody. Mark, get to feeling better, and we'll see everybody next month. All right.
Oh, yeah. And I hope Roger's okay.
Roger, too.
Best wishes to Roger.
Sorry, Roger. We miss you too, Roger. Get well. Keep recovering.
Back.
Yeah, you want him back.
Yes. And good work, Peyton, for filling in today.
Yeah. Thank you.
All right, thanks, everyone.
Thank you, Jackie.
Bye.
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 Bye.